Okay, so Mark, could you detail us about your expansion plans globally as well as in India?
So in both in India and the rest of the world, the only two major markets that we're not in right now are China and Japan. We've expanded quite rapidly in Asia over the last 16 months or so. Up until June of last year, we only had a physical presence in India and in Australia. We've now added 16 countries in the last 16 months and over 2,500 people in Asia. We still need to add a physical presence in China and Japan. We've also aligned our firm in a way so that we have global service lines and global industry practices. Not every jurisdiction do we have a mature practice, so we're looking at adding both breadth and depth of services in different markets. And so we see a tremendous opportunity just by expanding out in the areas in which we already have a practice to make sure that we can deliver those services across the world.
Okay, so you mentioned you are planning to expand your services both in respect of depth and width. Can you specifically name a few services both in respect of depth and width which you are exploring right now?
Sure. So transfer pricing, which we think is becoming increasingly important globally, because you need to have an integrated solution on transfer pricing. It's really necessary to have that capability locally in every single market. That's a good example of a practice that we're really focused on. We also think in some areas, companies are going to want a comprehensive service provider globally. So in an area like employment law, we have legal services in 159 countries. It gives us unique ability to provide services like employment law, like intellectual property, like mergers and acquisitions in every jurisdiction.
Thank you for the comprehensive view on the expansion plans. What does your India plan look like, and how important a market is India for Andersen?
Well, we think both in terms of demographics and growth in the economy, we think India will be one of the fastest growing countries and will become one of the largest economies in the world. It's very important for us to have a platform that would give us the ability to serve the entire country. So we're continuing to look at adding cities, but we also think it's really important for us to add services. I would say personally, over the next 10 years, I would think India would be one of the top 3 markets that we would really want to focus on. We're very bullish on the opportunities in India. We think there's going to be a lot more foreign investment. I think there's going to be a lot more cross-border investment. And we think those types of businesses are going to need assistance both in inbound and outbound.
So, Mark, last question from my side, and that is about the India's taxation framework. Where do you see this framework evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, as you also scale up your plans in India and globally? Yeah.
Well, I think as technology plays a bigger role in the administration of the tax law in India, I think you'll see greater compliance. We think that's a good thing because we believe that when there's greater compliance and accountability, that individuals and businesses go to higher quality firms, and we think that it works very well for us. I also expect that there'll be greater cross-border activity. The India economy is dynamic. I think it's got extraordinary potential. I think the resources in the country are extraordinary. And I think what we'll end up seeing is a system that evolves from a tax perspective to deal with both inbound and outbound activities.
Okay, so that's where I will leave, Mark. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
I want to thank you and ETCFO.com, and I thought this was very nice of you to have me on.